In this video for section 2.6, we're going to do a couple more example problems that deal with composite functions. And you'll see some similar problems in your homework assignment. So first we're going to do exercise 59 and 60 from section 2.7. It says to let f of x equals 2x minus 5 and g of x equals 4x minus 1. Evaluate the indicated function without finding an equation for the function. So previously, our problems would ask us to find f of g of x, and then once we found that, we would plug in 0 for x to find f of g of 0. However, we're going to do this problem in a more simple way because we don't need to find f of g of x. So what we're going to do is first we're going to plug 0 into g for x. So I'm going to calculate g of 0. So 4 times 0 minus 1, which is 0 minus 1, which is negative 1. Now what I'm going to do is take the answer that I just got and plug it into f. So f of negative 1 is 2 times negative 1 minus 5. And negative 2 minus 5 equals negative 7. So this would be my answer. So the key step is you start with the function on the right, plug in 0 for that, and then take the answer that you get and plug it into f. Question 60 is g of f of 0. So this time I'm going to start with f of 0, which is 0 minus 5, negative 5, and then I'm going to calculate g of negative 5. So again, once I find that value, I plug that in for x into my function on the left. So g of negative 5 is 4 times negative 5 minus 1. Which is negative 20 minus 1, or negative 21. So that would be my answer. Now we're going to look at exercises 91 through 94 from section 2.6. This one we have a graph, and we're using the graph to evaluate the composite function. So, number 91 is f of g of negative 1. So again, I start with the function on the right, so g of negative 1. Now this time I'm not plugging into an equation, I'm using the graph to find the value. So negative 1 is x. I find what the g function is. The y coordinate of that is negative 3. So go to negative 1 on the x-axis, go either up or down to the g function, in this case it's down, and the y coordinate of the g function is negative 3. Now I take that value and I plug that in for x into the f function. So f of negative 3. So I go to my graph of f, negative 3 for x, find the graph, that's right here, and then find the y coordinate. The y coordinate there is 1. So my answer is 1. So now let's do number 92. F of g of 1. So we start with g of 1. So when x is 1, that's right here, g, the y coordinate there is negative 5. So now I'm going to plug negative 5 in for x into f. So I find negative 5 on the x-axis, find the function f, that's right here, the y coordinate there is 3. So my answer is 3. So let's look at 93 and 94. 93, we're starting with f of 0. So f of 0, 0 on the x-axis, the value of f, the y coordinate is 2. So now we need to find g of 2. So find 2 on the x-axis, go down to the g function, Now this one's a little bit tricky because it's not actually a point, but the arrow's pointing at it. So this is going to be a y-coordinate of -6. So -6 would be my answer. And lastly, 94 is g of f of -1. So I need to start by finding f of -1. So -1 on the x-axis, f is up here. The function value, or the y-coordinate, is +1. So I plug that into g. And g of 1. So 1. Go down to g. The y-coordinate there is -5. So my answer would be -5. So now you can do the homework problems for this section.